Hello to all of my Art 100 people, all the people taking this wonderful art survey course, or at least I hope it will be wonderful. Um, I want to just take this time to thank you so much for being in this class. I know that these are really crazy times for everyone. I really admire everyone's decision to keep working so hard and build your future through education. I hope I can help you every step along the way through this class. I hope it really just opens up your eyes to art history and history of culture and the world. And if you are new to the arts, um, I hope that I can be a really good resource for you. If you've been here for a long time, I also want to be a good resource for you. Um, anyway, let's go over that syllabus. So, um, there's some information about how to log in here. And then this syllabus is found under, you can do home and then click syllabus, or you can go to this sidebar over here and click syllabus. Either way, it will lead you here. This has all the information for how to log in, but since you're already here, I'm assuming you've already logged in. The course description is, this is a survey of the visual arts. The emphasis is placed on various aesthetic approaches, philosophies, and artistic orientations around the world in historical and contemporary perspective. So this course is intended for humanities majors and all students interested in art and art history. And I'm realizing I need to move this over a little bit. There we go. Cool. The prerequisites are, there aren't really any, but it's advised that you've taken English 101 with a grade of C or higher. Your grades you can see in this category over here, the breakdown of the grades. Basically, everything is about attendance and assignments, quizzes, discussions, and then a final project. The assignments are about 10 points each, almost always. Sometimes there's extra credit. And then the quizzes are 30 questions. 30 points, and there'll be 15 questions worth 2 points each, 30 altogether. Discussions will be 10 points each. They happen every Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m., but I post the discussion early on, like Friday morning, so that you have plenty of time to post your response to the prompt, and then you'll want to reply to one or more students. That way we kind of have this discussion that can happen asynchronously. Okay, so the student learning objectives, you can read those to yourself, but in summation, we just want you to have a clearer idea of how to look at art and the historical context of it. So for our first module, and the whole class can be broken down into modules, basically. You'll see each module pop up each week on Monday morning, and then you have through till Sunday night to work on that module. The module will have reading assignments, some videos, and then a discussion on Friday, 2 assignments, and 1 quiz. It's really important to read those required readings that are given to you in each module so that you can answer the quiz questions and really get the most out of this topic. So for the first topic in Module 1 is going to be the formal and illusionistic visual elements in art. So that's kind of like your bare bones basic understanding. Line, shape, form, space, light, color, texture, those are all things that are used, they're like tools that are used in a recipe for a complete picture, image, or piece of artwork. And then Module 2 goes over the principles of design. So these are kind of ways of evaluating the whole recipe or the whole composition picture that you're looking at. And that includes unity and variety, balance, contrast, repetition and rhythm, scale and proportion, directional forces, emphasis and subordination. So those first two modules really focus on the form, like the objectives, standards, things you could say about if you were looking at a piece of art and you could say, oh, I could tell there's a lot of color being used here, or there's no color being used here, or this particular artist uses really crazy line work, like that's their big thing. And we'll go into that in more detail. But then modules 3 and on refer more to the subjective side of art. So you're looking more at the reasons behind why artists make the work that they've made. And there will be some room for design and architecture, but we'll primarily be talking about artists through art history because this is such a short class and I wouldn't want to try to cram all of that in there. But if any of you are like, I'm really into architecture, where is that featured? Or I'm really into design, please give us more of that. I am always open to suggestions. You can just send me an email and I'll go through and try to add in more. But for the sake of time, I focus largely on art, and because of my background, that's what I know. So, yeah, module 3, we focus on the orientations of art. That's just basically where does art arrive in the world? Where is it featured? How does it come up and why? That's kind of like the beginning thoughts of like, let's get ready to study art history. Module 4 is cool because it's like a breakdown of each of these different art genres. So if you've ever heard that referred to, that phrase, the genre, it's just like if you were in the library and you were looking at science fiction or history or mystery novels or romance novels. It's just basically the way that we categorize different art forms. So we'll go over all of those: drawing, painting, printmaking, comic, camera, not so much computer imaging. It's kind of just like an old term for, digital technology. Graphic design and illustration, sculpture, architecture, and craft. Okay, and then as you can see, I've written out here for each one, just so no one forgets. And I actually have to go through and adjust these due dates. It'll be really clear in the module, but I'm realizing that they're not aligned. I'm sorry. So we'll go back and fix that. Ignore those dates for now, but know that this means for each module, you'll have 2 assignments, 1 quiz, and 1 group discussion. So yeah, then we start moving into the art history portion of the class for the last 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks. And that's when we break down the historically significant art movements and schools. So prehistory to early civilization, medieval art, Northern Renaissance art, and the Italian Renaissance art. That's kind of a good way to start getting this visual timeline of how art has been practiced throughout time in the West. And then we move over to the East and we look at the ancient art through like 1400s. So it's the ancient Buddhist art, Hindu art, ancient Chinese art, ancient Japanese art, and the Islamic world. And I would love to have a chance to go over the more contemporary art practices in all those cultures, but for the sake of time, we can pretty much have to compress it into looking at the past. So we want to get really foundational knowledge of these art backgrounds. So I encourage you to use this as kind of the launching pad into looking at art, and I hope this kind of sparks your interest in each of these different parts of the world and different modes of creating. Next, we move to the art of the Americas, African art, art of Oceania, kind of just a way of getting a survey of those parts of the world. And then we start to move on into the last part where we're kind of going into what modern and contemporary art has looked like. So that's when we start going into movements in the 18th and 19th centuries. And that's kind of more Western as well. And then um, historically significant movements, artists, art pieces that were created um, in the early 1900s, and then from 1945 to present day. And then we talk about contemporary art and the current issues and how artists are addressing them. And I want to say that I want to explore more topics of like contemporary art throughout Oceania and, you know, the Americas in this class, because I think we tend to focus so much on Western art, and especially in museums, and it's a really difficult topic to get to cover in this short amount of time. And I feel like it's just kind of lame to not cover all of it. And I'm not trying to make an excuse here, but because typically these kinds of survey classes, you need to like know the canon by the time you come out. And by the canon, I just mean like the bare bones knowledge of like art history. And that's what I would think. If I don't teach you all of that while you're here, then I'm doing you a disservice. But I hope that this kind of breeds an interest in you to start taking classes, art history classes, in those other topics, where you can really hone in on the details of those other cultures and what they've been producing since ancient times. But yeah, that's our syllabus. That's the week by week coverage. We don't have a textbook requirement. I'm just going to give you guys the reading for each week, and then we'll give you some additional resources like articles from Art in America, Hyperallergic, Art 21, and Artsy. Those are some really great resources if you're really interested in art and you want to continue doing your research outside of this class. There are writing assignments. We were going to do a visit to a local museum to do a review on that. It's possible we might, but because of COVID-19, I don't really want to put anyone at risk, even if those museums are open. So that could be up for discussion. Those I found it's more successful if those are extra credit options. But the one thing that is not an extra credit option is the research project, and you will be doing that, turning it in on the last day of school or the last week. And you want to prepare for a visual and oral presentation of the research you've done dealing with an aspect of art and an artist. And I will talk lots more about that project during week 5, I believe. Week 5 or week 4. So you'll have plenty of time to work on that, but it's a 500-word essay, and then you'll recreate the artwork of the artist that you choose. And I'll give you guys that list in week 5 as well. So then you would do a visual presentation of that in either using a video or creating a slideshow. But we'll go over that more later. That's basically it. Kind of breaks down the methods of evaluation, just basically saying you have assignments, quizzes, discussions, and then this big research project. So I really want to see that people are participating in those discussions, people are showing interest and engagement in the readings by showing up for those quizzes, because some of them are multiple choice, but some of them are also essay style, so you have to do some writing. And it really helps if you pay close attention to the readings. And they're really interesting. I'm not the one who wrote them, so I can say that with confidence. I did a lot of the editing and a lot of the research, but I think it's just artists have done amazing work for thousands of years, and it's really exciting to get a chance to look at that. So I hope you guys are excited to do this with me. I'm happy to be here and happy to take any questions or feedback. You can reach me through email as mentioned in the orientation page. Emailing me is the best if you do it through Canvas, then I can respond the fastest. But usually I respond within 1 business day. And that's it.